Here we go. We're good.
That's
We're
the
good.
that's the pre-fight banter, huh?
Yeah, that's the.
This is gonna spill out.
So good evening. Good evening. This is episode 40. We're moving up on up. Today I had a unique experience. I was able to actually go to a rally today. They had a rally for Randy Cox, and I mentioned that we spoke last week. I mentioned there's a guy that was paralyzed by New Haven cops. He was arrested, put in the back of the police van, and they made a short stop and wound up breaking his neck. And it's a video of it that's pretty egregious. It shows how they dealt with him afterwards, and it's pretty, it's pretty fucked up situation, plain and simple. So this week, I guess the past couple weeks, they had Ben Crump. He came up, and today they had a rally that they set up going from pretty much from one part of Dixwell Community Center to the police station, which is roughly about a couple miles, pretty walk. And it was pretty interesting. It had the usual crew there. They had the usual crew. They had Ben Crump was there. Tamika Mallory was there. My son was there. A few other people were there as well. NAACP. It was pretty decently attended. It was a really good atmosphere. I recorded a little bit of it, to get as I was going through, and I walked down, maybe to about Broadway, maybe half mile or so down the road. It was a good show, man. People really showed up, and they were really in the spirit, and it was a pretty diverse crowd. It wasn't just all black people. It was, good majority, a good majority, good number of whites and Asians and Spanish people, and it was interesting. It was interesting seeing the cops. They're protesting the cops, and then the cops are they're the ones actually like marshaling the parade. So that was kind of weird, but it was interesting. It was really interesting, and it's. I'm gonna put a link. I'll put a link to the story below because it's when you're where it's happening, it seems big to you, but to the rest of the world, it's kind of just everybody knows about it. But it's been catching on. People really been starting to talk about it in the news outside of this New England. This whole situation with the situation with Randy Cox, and it's really much. They had his mother speak. His mother spoke there. It was really a good atmosphere, and a lot of people really came and really showed out. I was really proud of New Haven for once, So, but that was it. Justice for Randy Cox. I'm definitely in his corner because I think they just did him so dirty. If you ever, I'll leave it here. But I don't know if any of you've seen the video to it, like the video afterwards of them after they arrest him or when they arrest him, and then after they take him out. And
I saw it.
It's like, come on, man. It's just so unprofessional, so callous, and you just wonder, did they really think that what let's say he was drunk, what would it have done for them to take him to the hospital and really take care of him instead of just throwing him around, instead of just manhandling him like that, Well, it's crazy.
Of the attitude that generally policemen have, right? I don't think most of them attempt to de-escalate. I think they view their authority as ultimately being based on violence, and ultimately use that authority and that privilege as their first resort. In order, and either you comply or you don't comply fast enough, and their next fault is simply to apply force. They're not trained they're really not trained to protect anyone. They're not trained to de-escalate anything. They're not really trained to resolve any solutions. They are trained to give orders and use force and ultimately protect themselves. And we are rapidly creating a political environment where there is no way to hold any police accountable, or the idea of accountability is held up to the states, which is ultimately going to be used in a way to protect and shield police officers from any kind of real liability or consequence for their actions. Because again, they are more interested in the use of force than the protection of the public and the resolution of conflict. So it actually tracks that they would use violence. And it tracks that they would use violence against an African American specifically because of how America socializes people to feel about African Americans.
It was really it was really telling how they were just so dismissive of him. I mean, you could just see him. His head is not staying up straight, and he says he can't stand up. And what you call it? They're like, "You must be drunk." There's a female cop there that's probably the worst of them all, at least in terms of what you call it. She's just like, "You're drunk. How much drink did you have?" And just really harping on an issue. I'm like, geez, I'm like,
gotta protect her position.
Well, I'm gonna give my commentary now, and the commentary that's been consistent with my commentary on this podcast. If I hear what you're saying about training, this, that, and the other, if that were true, then it would be consistent in all communities. It is not. Yep. It only happens in certain communities. So whether or not they have training or not is kind of, I want to say, moot or irrelevant, because something kicks in when they're in certain communities and they don't behave in this manner. They have a way of holding back their aggression. They do problem solve. They do all the things that we say that we would like them to do. I am not an advocate of defund the police, this, that, and the other. I am an advocate of proper policing in all communities and having it be equivalent. That's what I'm an advocate of. And we see this type of policing consistently in certain communities. We do not see it in other communities.
You know what it is? It's just a basic lack of respect. I mean, what's the worst thing that could have happened? Okay, he was drunk and he kind of got over on you. He wasn't going to just, there was like 4 of them and 1 of him. He wasn't just going to go run off and beat him, beat him and run off. So he was drunk. Say he was drunk, and you take him to the hospital and they say, "Oh, he was drunk. There was nothing wrong with him. He's okay." So what?
And back to what
it's just a matter of respect. They had no respect for him. And that's what it is.
Proper policing that's equitable in all communities. They would have the same level of respect or a similar level of respect for everybody in every community, and it's not there. So
absolutely none.
That needs to be addressed. However that's systematically addressed, it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, it was really sad, but like I said, it was a really interesting thing to go to that rally and see. A lot of these people that you see from a distance, like to see Ben Crump and my son and Tamika Mallory, and I know Leon's on the line, and I was going to mention something. I think I mentioned it before, that my opinion on Ben Crump has kind of changed a bit. I kind of had him pegged, and I still do. I won't say still do, but I kind of had him pegged as like an ambulance chaser, type of guy that just goes off, he's going after the money and trying to find all these people, these incidents to boost his career and to get money for his practice. And I started watching a bit of a documentary about him, and it didn't really. The one thing that changed my mind a bit is to see how, made me think a little bit. So you know what? Who would be there if no one else was there to do it? You know what I mean? Because you think this case like this, like that we all kind of know of, and maybe not Leon because you're not from the area anymore, but we know about it because you hear about it in the news. But if you're not from this area, you don't know about it. And this guy takes on this case. Think how many cases like this happen a year. Think how many guys that get manhandled, that get mistreated, and and nothing happens. And it maybe have a little. Not really have it, but to have to give him his due, to be like, you know what, somebody's got to be out there to at least stand up for these people. And I may not always have the best. No, I may not always think that he's has the best intentions, but I'm glad that someone's out there taking a stand and fighting for people. It's the same thing. People talk about Al Sharpton, but you know what? Al, as flawed as he is, and don't get me wrong, I know he is flawed, and I know he's as crooked as can be, but he beats the street. He fights. He fights for the little man on almost every occasion, even if it's wrong, you know. And sometimes you need that, you know. I think sometimes when you come from these communities that don't get respect, that get mishandled and mistreated, you know, you don't get your story doesn't get told. You don't get to be to get your version of the story told, or to get your, you know, to get people to hear what happened to you. And you know, it was interesting to see him there, and he was leading the rally, doing the chants, and you know, I was like, you know what, more power to him. You know, I had to tip my hat to him. At least he's out there in the streets. You know, a lot of people talk that talk, but don't walk that walk. So hey, more power to him. That's all I gotta say. Yeah.
When I very first saw it on a news broadcast, and the first thing I came to my mind is that, and I also respect our law enforcement agency, and you have some bad ones in there, but I immediately said they giving him a rough ride.
Yep.
He was kicking the back of, I guess the back of the driver passenger seat, and they just decided that, according to their words, there was some vehicle obstruction in front of them, and they had to slam on the brakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately, it just came to my mind. I said, nope, they gave him a rough ride.
Yeah.
And I think this is a cut and dry case, almost where you didn't need Crump.
I know you really didn't. You really didn't. Once the video came out, that was a wrap.
Yeah, thank God for videos in a lot of cases. We can talk about the bodega stabbing and stuff. Thank God for that video.
Yeah.
But however, I don't think you need it. I don't believe you need it, Crump. I question whether when you bring someone of his stature, he's gonna get the city or municipality to settle probably quicker than a local attorney would or something like that. But any lawsuit, any litigation would be settled. It will be settled, probably not as quickly as it would with him. The question is how much does the family have to give up for his services? That's always been a question. That's always been a question.
I'm sure it's a question, but to be honest, he doesn't really have to get that, you know, realistically, I don't think he has to get that much, because he was saying like he gets calls all the time from people. You know what I mean? That he probably gets, you know, he's got 10 on his radar besides this one right now. You know, and I think, and again with this case, and I mean, even think, you know, I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about it, and I think they're in LA, the Southern podcast. And they were like, they had just found out about it recently. So while we may know about it and we may think, oh, this is just old, you know, not old news, but just sort of, you know, a big story here, it hasn't resonated globally or nationally. And I think Crump kind of helps it resonate nationally, you know.
That's true.
And I mean, you need, sometimes you need cases like these to go national so that you can, so that it can be exposed. Because if you don't, okay, it
won't go national because he lived. If he had died, it would have went national. And I think that we shouldn't get caught up in the spectacle of the media I mean, we're talking a lot about the attorney, but what does the family want? Do they want to settle? Do they want financial reimbursement for what happened? Or do they want to see the officers prosecuted? Or, I mean, they could want to see the officers prosecuted now, but as time goes along, they could come to an agreement that they want to settle. I mean, it's really up to the victim and what the family wants to see in this outcome, and not so much what Crump and whatever he brings to this.
Didn't they drop charges? Did they drop the charges on him?
I don't know about that. Yeah, but because I think would he have? It was some sort of wasn't assault. It was something he had. It wasn't a big. It was some sort of thing they charged him with.
I think it was a weapon. I think it was a weapons violation.
Charge, yeah.
He might have been on. weapons
Yeah.
charge and probably breach of peace or something like that. I think he might
Yeah.
not. He might have been a felon, or a felon who had possession of a weapon.
That could be. That could be. And again, I think, it was, I think that, you know, that video was really telling. I think without that video, we have just his word. And to be honest, maybe, the fact that he's paralyzed, and then they would run some game like, oh, I had to stop quick and blah 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 blah. But even in that case, to be honest, that's still wrong, because he should be chained to the links in the truck, so he can't move. You know what I mean?
The object should appear on the police camera while they're driving if there was something really
Right,
unless
right.
that was tampered with, because all officers have the cameras,
Yeah.
facing forward when they're doing chases.
I mean, I also don't think cops should have the ability to turn their cameras on and off.
Yeah, I know.
I'll tell you what, if they attach these cops' pensions to some of these excessive force settlements, they think twice about it.
Yep.
The number of this type of stuff would drop
significantly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was saying last week, all this is going to happen, and Trump's going to come, and the media and everybody's going to start and the city's going to quickly settle, because New Haven's a pretty liberal city.
Yeah.
But
maybe
the taxpayers pay for it. That's the problem.
Maybe garnish their pensions and have it go to the victim's family. So the more you do, the more victims you have, the less you get when you retire.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, and other news, you hear about the guy who shot Tamir Rice?
He got a job
Hired at
in Pennsylvania.
And he resigned, I guess. Ooh, after all this came out.
He was.
You can just go get another job as a cop, and there needs to be a national database of people that, of bad cops. And
this was his second and third job.
Right.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be a cop anywhere ever again.
No.
I agree.
But wasn't a bill passed that said something like that, where they're gonna make that more on a federal database? And wasn't that part of some bill that or executive order? Executive orders
only last as long as the president who signs them. And as far as creating a federal national database, that's not going to happen with Republican politicians.
Yeah, they're not going to. They're not going to handle that.
Never ever.
They're not going to deal with that. So, yeah. So that was my Friday. So it's been has time to get got my protest on, got my walking shoes on, and did my little protest.
You have your Black Lives Matter shirt on?
I did not. I did not.
He had his Black Lives Matter shirt on. He was a protester. He's with Antifa.
I did not. I did not. I wish I had. I wish I had brought my own little my sign.
Did y'all march in any of the?
Your son get a picture, and then you would have forever been a Black Lives Matter protester with Antifa.
Did y'all march in any of the George Floyd rallies?
I didn't. No. Oh, okay. I didn't. It was
COVID.
It was COVID. Yeah, that was COVID. It's right smack in the middle of it. Nope.
It was. I did though. My son wanted to, so I went with him.
But you know what though? The other thing is that, and with George Floyd, I kind of felt like I would have participated in a rally, but I think it was more of a young people's thing. I think it was more this generation's thing. For me, I really felt like it was their thing, and my end. If I'm going to participate, it's in a different way, So, but I would have. I if it wasn't COVID, I probably would have done. I'm sure they had a protest downtown or something of some sort. Other news, quick things. The Highland Park shooter's father purchased a gun for his son. So apparently he signed off on the gun for his son, and apparently they're gonna. There's a likelihood that he might be in a bit of trouble.
He should be.
He should be
He
because
should be.
because apparently, in addition to this, apparently they had the police were at that place or his home on several occasions.
The son threatened to kill them all. So he goes and buys his son a gun.
Yeah, it's just come on, man.
Well,
He should have turned them in.
it's possible he wasn't.
Yeah, like 69s, a dagger, a sword, threatened to kill them, all types of things, man. He suicide attempts. There were so many red flags, man. That how do you go and then sign off on him getting a weapon, knowing all these issues that this kid had? We ain't even a kid, this young man.
Yeah, you know, you know, it's kind of like we were saying earlier with taking the pensions of police officers or what happened if it did. I bet it would curb a lot of these parents that buy these kids these guns that go on these shooting sprees. You know, if you give this guy some years behind bars, 10 years, I don't know what's the appropriate amount, put his ass in jail, you know, for aiding and abetting. I bet and set a law precedent that would curb a lot of people's minds. I think what happens is some people they just I don't know if it's just clueless or just oblivious or just they don't care. I just don't know, you know. And you hear there's so many things that telltale signs that he was planning something malicious.
I was just raised different, man. I don't know if it's, you know, this suburban upbringing, like your kid not working, he can do what he can, you know, you're gonna put tattoos all over your face and you're 18, 19 years old and you don't have to talk with him about, well, what happens if you go and have to have a job interview. I know he was an inspiring rapper, and at one time I guess he had some song, some rap that got a lot of feedback or anything like that, man. But how do, as parents, suicide, multiple weapons? Then they said that the police came when he threatened the family. The police confiscated him, and the father came back to the police station and said they belonged to him and took them back. I mean, that would never happen in my household. My parents, never, ever, ever. My parents would just say, "Come take them."
Yeah, but
Well, I
that's
mean,
red
but
flags
it depends on your kid.
and their community. So
Yeah.
that those get downplayed. Whereas
Yeah.
red flags in our community, when a young brother is sort of his behavior and his stuff is escalating and we see the warning signs, like stuff usually happens.
Yep.
Whereas in their community, nothing happens.
Yeah, that's just crazy. It's crazy.
But we're largely ignoring, because we're sitting here focusing on the how he got the gun. We're not really looking at the underlying factors that get a person to be where he is, where the shooter was. And the thing is, if you look at all of these shooters, they all have the same problem, and it's ultimately a product of in some aspect being sort of disconnected and disillusioned, but definitely disconnected with a wider and greater community.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's a factor that's kind of a byproduct of today's society. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, it's
as DJ pointed out, some of it is related to the nature of suburbia, but you know, you don't see it everywhere because you kind of see it. You also see it popping up in a lot of like exceedingly rural communities. You see it a lot in even in urban cities, because it's really about people who are not socially connected with any kind of real community in their personal lives. And so what ends up sort of happening is they retreat off into this online space where they find like-minded people. And unfortunately, it's very easy to get to lose your way on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, excluding like the dude in Texas because he was Spanish, but a lot of these white kids that have been shooting up all of these folks, or these white, they are in the burbs. So it probably happens more in the burbs. They just hide it more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Verbs are largely about keeping up appearances.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's, unfortunately a problem that literally goes back to the origin of the suburbs.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it is also like in urban areas, if you have these thoughts, then instead of just being online, you meet up with folks, and then they kind of help govern aberrant behavior that's going to drive attention or the police attention to you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you're in the burbs, like sometimes there are groups in the burbs, but sometimes there's not. And then I think in the situations when it's not, these types of events are likely to happen with people who feel and think the way that this young man.
He sounds like, and I haven't heard it said yet, but he looks like he's some sort of incel.
Mhm.
When I saw the picture of him, I was like, he looks like an incel. You know what I mean? And I kind of think sometimes that, like, pre-internet, like in the days when Leon and I and Rod and maybe PJ were growing up,
Yeah.
you didn't have all this sort of all of these spaces online, and having the ability to connect with certain populations, so anybody can join any kind of new group that they find online or whatever, and it has its good places in which you can find positive communities that are like furries or into it, whatever game. But then you have a dark side of it that you have people that are just that are incels that think just the most weirdest and bizarre, freakish thoughts and ideas, and you can know these people together. They just it's like the people who believe that that Sandy Hook didn't happen.
Yeah.
They just they feed off each other, and it's like
about Alex Jones, man.
Well, yeah, well, but Alex Jones he's kind of like he's kind of riding the wave. He's a grifter. He's grifting.
Yeah, he's a.
But what I'm saying is that there are people who actually believe this, and if you really look into their lives are just it's lives just shambles. That's the only thing they can have that keeps it in line, and it's just it's I don't know. I think like this is a case where probably some kid that was a loner and probably disaffected, and he found some sort of weird community and that led him to this, and it's his parents probably weren't involved. That's probably the case. His father's probably checked out. That's what I think it is.
I also heard that his father and his family was having some financial troubles. The family business was in trouble. The house was in trouble.
Yep.
And
they were separated.
Yep.
Right, him and his mother. But it's just like, I think a lot of people sort of seem to not take into account, the fact that, when you're worried about your house, it's not just the owner of the house, it's the parents, it's anybody children related. I mean, I have that worry with my parents and their house, which I live in. It's just
it's that middle class stability. It's sort of it's funny she said that, because it's like you don't see you think about, okay, if it's kids that are, you don't see really poor kids from the hood or Appalachia doing this. I mean, that's my knowledge. Because their situations are more dire and probably less.
Right.
It's the kid that kind of has a house and is kind of on the fringes of that and maybe losing it or something. And it's kind of just lost, right? Yeah, right.
We're talking Highland Park. He had to be the poorest person in Highland Park,
right? And I think a lot of this has to do, there's a sort of losing middle class status that seems to fit in it.
Maybe,
yeah. I think that plays into it.
Dad ran for mayor and lost, and their status in the community. They was going through it. The husband and wife, mom and dad, separation, the house is in disrepair. I guess they had a deli. I don't know if that was still up and going.
Oh, really? Wow.
But
But I think you're
what
right.
happened to our, you know what? And y'all tell me about this. One thing we had 20 years ago that we don't have now, because advocates got involved and a lot to do with the abuse that took place, are mental institutions and the lack thereof.
Yeah, Reagan killed all that.
Yeah,
In
a
the
lot of
80s,
a lot of
in
Is there a need
Reagan
to bring
specifically
those
killed
back
all
now?
in the 80s, Reagan cut the federal funding for like
state
federal
hospitals.
programs
Yeah.
for mental health and a lot
Yeah.
of the funding that state mental health programs. I had a relative that used to work at one. And they had to end up, transitioning into something else. I mean, it
that.
worked out. It worked out for them, huh?
That's when you started to see a massive homelessness problem in America.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
that's when it started.
Yeah.
Yep.
As
Is there a
always,
need to bring those back?
it's Reagan and conservatives
They
Yeah.
ain't bringing
I
them
mean,
back.
every time.
Yeah.
No,
y'all don't think, despite with everything going on and all the
no, no, and this is why, DJ, they decided that they were spending way too much money on something as far as the cost benefit analysis that they did on having these state mental health facilities that were spread across at different locations throughout all of the states.
Yeah.
That the amount of money they were spending was too much. You got to remember, big farmers coming up after
yeah.
healthcare was stopped in the 70s. Most healthcare companies were not for profit. And then they switched to being for profit. So they figured that they could deal with the mental health issue through psychopharmacology. We could just give them pills, put them in the community, and they would be fine. And it's going to be a lot less than housing them. Because back in that time period when my relative worked, and one of the places the people knew when their mental health was slipping, and they would kind of check themselves in, get stable, and then they would go back out in the community, live forever, how long as they could, and then when it started to slip, they would go back. But they knew that they had that. It was
Yeah. And then back then, there was no liability. If we're talking especially 30, 19, 30, 40, 50, 60, probably 70, you can do whatever you wanted to whoever was committed into one of them institutions. But now the lawsuits probably played a role too.
Well, a lot of those institutions were abusive, but also we had less of an understanding of the nature of mental health and why people ended up the way they were.
Yeah, and also Black folks wasn't putting their folks in mental institutions either.
Oh,
Yep. In prison.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have a this isn't my story to share, so I'm not gonna. Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to the fact that for as much as in the current political climate, one party is willing to deflect to mental health, they also actions to make access to mental health either easier to get or more financially viable for a lot of people. And they're currently on a kick where they're saying certain antidepressants are more likely to cause people to take these kinds of actions, because again, this shooter was shown to be on antidepressants. And this is a deflection, and as a person who's on antidepressants, I have never ever contemplated shooting up anything, because I mean, I'm not that disconnected, but also I don't think Black people are generally raised to believe that the solution to problems is violence.
No,
the way white people are, or shown to be. There's a fundamental problem, and I've been saying this. There's a fundamental problem with the way in which America has told white people that what you do when you have a problem is you go out and you shoot it. And this is the action movies, this is the Dirty Harry cop movies. This is the the contrarian army movies. This is all the cowboy shows of the 50s and 60s.
Death Wish.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
That was a good movie. Charles
Re-
Bronson.
Revenge.
Yeah.
This whole issue really does center around white men and the belief that they're primarily entitled to get what they want and to use force when to take out and to use force when they want to. And everybody else is sort of told not to do that. But when, again, with these mass shooters, they're all going to fit a certain profile.
I'm thinking of the movie that if you think about it's aged pretty badly, Falling Down with Michael
What
Douglas.
do you mean aged badly? That was a great movie.
It was
cab driver, right? Wasn't that with De Niro?
Yeah.
Taxi driver. Yep. I mean, here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying.
I mean,
when you watch it,
solve their problems through violence. And we call them fun action movies, but like, I
didn't see Falling Down. I thought Falling Down was phenomenal because you saw as the day progressed, and to use the current term, microaggressions, and as the microaggressions got bigger in his day, how he just unraveled psychologically. He just snapped.
Well, he was already.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, by the end of the movie, he realized that he'd been commuting to a job he lost 6 months ago. Like the man had long since snapped.
Yeah.
But
he hadn't snapped. He was holding it together because he was creating the facade that he was going to work. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he had the facade that he was going to work. He was fooling his family, like this, that, and the other. I'm not saying that he didn't have any issues. That he was the paragon of health. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that he was holding it together. And then that one little thing about, I think it was his daughter's birthday party, that just started the ball rolling downhill. And then the next thing, and then you see him lose it a little bit more.
But what I'm saying is that, like, if you make that movie today, he's a lot less sympathetic. When I saw that movie, you're sympathetic towards him. He's a little bit misunderstood to see his daughter. Now, I haven't seen it in years, but if I see it now, I'd look at it a little bit differently. I'd go like, man, this guy's nuts. You know what I mean? Running around with a damn weapon, a damn RPG in his what's called?
Yeah.
In a briefcase.
I used to think that when brothers like did certain things, that it was like it was because of money, or it was something, or just because of the situation that they're in. But there are some brothers who got some serious mental issues. I will go along with that. Like the brother who shot and killed the Subway worker because she put too much mayo on his sandwich.
Or the guy who shot his girlfriend as she's walking the baby. You know, it's like, what the hell are you thinking? I mean,
like the road rage. Like you cut somebody off on the highway, so then you got to go and kill them because they cut you off. That's serious mental issues right there, or what, anger issues, something, which is a mental issue.
It's like a control issue. What do they call it? Executive control, executive
functioning,
decisioning, executive functioning issue. Yeah, something like, but it's just amazing to do crazy stuff like that, man. Other things. Brittany Griner pleaded guilty to drug trafficking. What say you? Brittany Griner is
Brittany. Who's Brittany Griner?
Oh my God!
Wait.
Come on, man.
Wait.
In Russia, she was good. In Russia, she was good.
I live a nice, humble life.
You're not serious.
Brittany Griner was a WNBA
Griner.
Brittany Griner. Is it Griner?
It's Griner.
Griner. Yeah, Griner. She is a WNBA athlete, 6'9", who plays in Russian off season. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
When I went to Russia. So yeah, so she met. She talked with President Biden, and I don't know if he convinced her, but she pled guilty. Anybody think
He
was
before,
guilty in Russia.
but as part
Yeah.
of the part, I think she was told to plead guilty just because she did have it. But the only way they would be able to negotiate, like even a prisoner swap, is if she pleaded guilty. And hopefully they do that.
Yeah, from what I've heard that they're trying to. There's a guy that they're trying to that they have that they're thinking of doing a swap. Victor Bout.
Yeah, I mean he's done some crazy shit.
Yeah, he's doing 25 years.
Give him up to get her back.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I heard, I don't know where it was in the end that people saying, "Oh, she wouldn't face people wouldn't be caring about her," and blah blah blah. I'm like, of course they wouldn't, of course. But it's like, come on, what are you gonna do? Do nothing? You're just gonna be like, oh, the hell with her? Let her rot? Come on, man. She probably did that. She's probably guilty of it. She'll go to prison for 5 years for it.
But there's a Marine over there that's been there for what, over 4 years? And they say the same thing about them, that he's wrongly detained. And what's the possibility of a package deal for this one guy? I don't think Russia is gonna go for that, where I give up 2 and you give me 1. I'm sure we probably owed him more, but it's rough for her. She in a rough place, bro.
She's in a rough place. And
I don't think that Russia's gonna give up a U.S. service person.
Yeah, they're not gonna give a service person. That's too big again. Her, she's a bargaining chip. She's a pawn.
Yeah.
They're gonna get something for her.
The guy we got Bout is like on some terrorist level and supplying weapons for terrorism. And does Brittany Griner reach his? Is it worth it to ask for Brittany Griner for him, to swap Brittany Griner for him? You know what I'm saying?
She
money in WNBA.
She doesn't, but she's high profile. If she sits in prison for 5 years, come on, the optics of it just look bad. It makes our country, it makes our country look. It makes us look weak. It makes it seem like that we're feckless, that we just don't care about our athletes. So yeah,
I'm I don't think for a second. Biden gets hell in these streets. He got to do whatever he can to have a win.
Yeah, he does. He needs a
win.
He needs a win. Yeah, he does.
And we're just talking about people that send these 2 people in Russia. There are people in jail all around this country, down in South America, that make Russian jail look like a penthouse, bro.
Have you ever seen the show? The show used to come on. Still comes on once in a while. Called Locked Up Abroad.
Locked Up Abroad.
Yes. Yeah, man.
Yeah. No, somebody, I don't want to see that.
Huh? Sometimes you watch a show and you feel so sorry for the people. They're in such a dire spot, and they get jammed up with someone like that. One woman whose boyfriend, she helped with some guy, and the guy was going down to buy drugs, and he made her come up, and she got caught out like that. But then some people are just idiots. They're just partying, and one chick from Australia that was smuggling meth. I'm like, the hell?
Yeah, somebody talk you in like, oh man, come on, you can go down there, man. I give you $5,000 to bring this back. Next thing you know, you got caught and you going to prison in a place full of MS-13.
Hell yeah, you're a white person and you get in jail in Colombia, Bogota. Really? I'm like, come on, man. So it's I wish it well. I'm guessing they'll probably make a deal to get the Bout guy out, and what can you do? I don't think you can't do anything. Doing nothing doesn't help. And because she's a high profile person, that Biden's got it's like I was just saying, we need to get the win. Biden needs whatever wins he can get.
He need a win. He needs
a win, and that's a win. They get her home, her smiling on the front page, him shaking hands with Joe Biden. That's a win. So what can you do? Hopefully she works it out.
Yeah, but it's not that easy, because there's some other people putting pressure on him. People who family of influence, who got some kid that's locked up abroad, and they contributing to campaigns and stuff. And he got pressure, bro. I know
he does.
He got pressure.
There's no easy wins in this. There are none. But I just think that you just can't say, you can't ignore her situation. You know,
No,
and you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it because
and
it
and
just
that
looks she look weak.
and that multimillionaire who contributes to their campaign every year says you can't ignore my child either.
You know, yeah, he probably can't either. But that multimillionaire, maybe I don't know, maybe he can spend some money, and who knows, you know, any number of things. That might, he may have different options than Brittany Griner. So I don't know. So yeah, that's
A multi-millionaire can write a check and get that.
that's what I'm saying. He can write some checks, man. Some money will that'll move some
Right,
things.
Putin the check.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So in the ongoing news, we were talking earlier. I know we were talking earlier online. We were talking about the never-ending story of Herschel Walker's dwindling and spiraling campaign. You know, we're talking earlier, DJ. And my thing with him, it isn't so much. You know, it's one thing. All politicians lie. All politicians lie.
Correct.
He's trying. He. This is just. It's beyond this. Apparently, even his team didn't know he had two other children.
It's blatant.
No, they knew. They knew. I put that. I posted an article in the chat. They asked him before they even started, like before he officially ran. They asked him, did he have any outside kids? They knew that he did. He said no, and they said that they said okay, whatever. We still gonna work. Like it's because it's all about the win. It's all about the win.
To be honest, the Republican Party should be ashamed of themselves because you telling me they couldn't get any person that didn't have this many bones in the closet to run for governor. Anybody?
It was Trump. It wasn't just it was Trump who wanted Herschel Walker.
But as Charlie Sheen said, winning. That's all that matters.
Yeah, so it didn't matter whether if the
if
other parts of the Republican Party wanted this dude. Trump wanted him.
I don't know.
And
you can just see how he's just a walking. You know,
I don't even really care about the kids. It's the lying. It's the lying. It's the stupidity.
Right.
It's the utter stupidity.
That's my issue. It's not. He could have said, "Look, I got 5 kids." Okay, you got 5 kids. You're athlete. That'd have been fine.
That's the thing I understand. Why didn't you own up to it in the beginning? That I don't understand, and I can't even begin to comprehend why he would ignore that. As far as is that enough? I don't know. Everybody know November 8th or whatever day it is that we're gonna vote in politics. That's still a lifetime away. And I know everybody knows that how I feel. I'm not a progressive and will never be a progressive. I feel, in my opinion, just my personal opinion, I feel Warnock, especially based on his voting in the Senate, is a progressive. And so I don't have any skin in the game. Because I'm not from Georgia, but however, if you vote a senator, if a senator comes from anywhere, they're going to have a vote and they're going to have a voice, and that one vote, much like Manchin, could change a whole thing, whether something goes through or not. And I understand that. It's and I think I don't know. As far as like I told Rod, I don't know if the RNC is just waiting until September, October to start bringing these stuff up. Yeah. Do they have dirt? We all know some pastors that ain't squeaky clean and didn't have squeaky clean past. We all know some even today that are running successful churches, but you can see them out at the club. We all know you have a man, you have a young black man who's the pastor of probably one of the most prestigious black churches in America, and he's a senator and he's in Atlanta, and he's in the DC circuit where all these young up and coming politicians on the come up. The temptation is hard, bro.
Are you referring to
DJ?
Are you referring to
Like,
Warnock? You think Warnock has skeletons like that?
No. All you gotta do is Google DC and like both parties, wild sex parties. They all.
Yeah.
So,
my opinion is,
I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I said, I don't have a skin in the game and stuff. My primary reason for rolling with Herschel is because y'all said he was gonna be insignificant. And that I guess we done got past that.
we never said he was going to be insignificant. We said he's an idiot.
Yes, we did.
I've said consistently he's not qualified. He's not qualified.
Candidate.
He's an illegitimate candidate.
That I will stand by that. I will stand by that.
Okay,
I'll stay on that hill.
I'm consistent with saying he's an idiot. I'm consistent with that.
If he done got this far, we done got past. He's no longer an illegitimate candidate. He is the candidate, right?
He never said he was an illegitimate candidate.
Yes,
I don't know why.
Did they say that?
Well, hold up and back up.
Thank you.
I don't think they have anything on Warnock, because when you think they would to get the other dude to win, they would have brought it out then.
Well, put it this way.
So they don't have anything on Warnock.
No.
Warnock is going to win.
If Trump had something on him the minute he dipped in the polls, Trump would have released.
Yeah. They need to bring Herschel back up.
It's possible.
And if you're the RNC, you have a surprise, you have another candidate waiting in the wings to because right now Herschel is, come on, man, all these things, come on, when it comes down to debates and all this other stuff, what do you think's gonna happen then?
Because he's not going. They already said he's not going to debate.
He's not going to debate.
He said he wasn't. They already told him. They know he's stupid. They followed Trump on this.
What the hell is he gonna do? What the hell is he gonna do? They just gonna like put a perk in front of him. He's gonna read off it. Come on, man.
Wait,
that's what bothers me. It's like, yo, I have no problem with them running. You know, if the guy can do the job and at least is competent. He's not even competent, man.
No,
come on,
not.
yo.
That's why they already put it out there.
People feel the same way about another politician that ran in 2020. So I mean,
who?
You mean a 20-year senator? A 20-year senator that's not
40. I'm talking about a 45, a 48-year-old politician that ran in a 48 career politician that ran in 2020. And stuff who didn't come. Y'all want me to say it, man. God, now y'all gonna say that I'm deflecting this. Biden,
This is you deflecting. This is you.
Yeah, but all right.
Trying to weasel out and saying what you mean.
Oh my gosh.
I know,
you know what?
I ain't even want to go there. Y'all pulling.
Then why'd y'all put him out in the first place?
I'll go as
wait a minute.
Wait. Let's stay on Warnock.
I've been shutting up all day.
Let's stay on Warnock
and Herschel.
Yeah, let's
Herschel. They already put it out there that Herschel is not going to debate. They know he's not going to debate because he can't debate because Warnock will slay him big time.
And stuff.
Yeah, and also they didn't really want Herschel, but Trump really wanted Herschel, so the Trump influence took over. So that's why he's in there. That's why, and they figure like if they get him in there, then they're like the Trump supporters, if they get him in there as the primary candidate, then that's just showing Trump that we're still with you, dude. We're still with you. So that's why he's in there.
Yeah, not only that, but there's a lot of money being spent. If Herschel is this bad, still the DNC is pumping a lot of money, a lot of advertisements and stuff like that. Those are things that cut. Those are things that could be spent on someone else that probably needed more than
wrong. And I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong, because first of all, for Warnock to be a Democratic senator in the Bible Belt in the South and plus be a black man, where it's very few senators that are Democrats in the Bible Belt, and it's very few black senators. What's on one? Clyburn. That's it.
Yep. South Carolina,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for them to get a second state, like that shows that they're making, to them, the DNC, they're making progress in the South and inroads and what's the word I'm looking? I don't want to say overturning, but being more competitive in the South. That's a good way.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I don't see it. It's his to lose. It's Warnock's to lose.
At this point, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. If he had been more middle of the road, not as far to the left, there are still issues that all Democrats, especially progressive ones, there's stigmas that are attached with everything else. Because if we're talking about the four things in that are concerns for the voting people and stuff with that, and you can't help but associate it with their leader with Biden and all the concerns. That's going to come back, especially crime and stuff like that. That's going to play a factor. Everybody agree? In voting, especially in urban and suburban areas, and
I'm sure it'll probably come up, but it's not going to flip them to vote for Herschel Walker.
Yeah, I just think
The average voter is smarter.
And I'm saying it's his to lose. It's his to lose, and they
and
better hope.
Georgia's
They
to
better
fix.
hope there's nothing that comes. They better hope that there's no dirt that comes out. Everybody already aware of the ex-wife accusations of abuse. That's already public knowledge.
Which has been false.
Which has been proven to be false. I'm just saying.
Whether it's false or not, I'm just saying that it came. The accusation. I said accusation.
Yeah, well, multiple articles and stories have come out to prove that it was false.
Okay.
That's why you haven't heard it anymore.
That's fine. So I'm saying I'm saying just knowing RNC, knowing the politics, that they probably that one thing that they learned they took out of probably the Democrats' book is to not show your cards early. You wait till that September, October line, and hopefully he's a righteous person that he portrays and everybody think he is. Because if something comes out, him being a pastor of the church, he is not gonna get the pass or that a regular politician would get. Everybody agree, because he's held at a higher standard being a pastor. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
Something dirty was to come out. If something dirty was to come out.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, that would have came out. As much as they wanted the other dude to win, if they wanted it to come out, it would have been either out already.
No, not if they're waiting. Not if they're waiting.
What are they going to wait for?
Yeah, well, I don't know what the wait is for.
To wait till the end.
I don't know about that.
Strategically, because it'll be fresh. It's strategically and give them less time to try to change the narrative or come up. You give them less time. You wait till the last moment before elections to bring that out. That would be my strategy.
It depends on what it is, though. So let's just say he's I don't know, got a DUI.
Embezzle from the church.
Embezzle from the church, right? That's, to be honest, that's something that you want to get out. Not last minute. You want to get out early so it stays around, so it doesn't go away. Stays on you. Because think about it. If you have an investigation about embezzlement in your church and you keep bringing it up, a lie set of time that comes through.
No, DJ's
I
right.
Disagree. I said wait till October. Wait till October.
No. DJ's right on this. You want to wait
October?
Yeah, you want to. Yes, it's called the October surprise. If the party has something, they drop it in October right before the November thing, because you don't want to give the others, the opposition, a chance to rehabilitate whatever the issue is.
A la Jim Comey.
Yes.
You don't want
Exactly.
To rehabilitate the issue. You really don't.
To do damage control. Basically, to do damage control. That's the phrase.
Hey, Todd.
Be able to play damage control.
I'm about to put something in the chat about the U.S. whatchamacallit, crime rate. You should put it in on the screen, and then we can go through and look at the it's been dropping ever since the 1990s. And
Oh, really?
it was an uptick one 2015 2014 15, and then it started to drop again in 2016 17.
Yes.
But
Send me
yeah,
the link. Send me the
I
link.
just put it in the overall thing
All right.
in the group chat
In the chat here or the text chat?
on the text.
Okay. Other things the other thing that's happened this week, speaking of senators, is anybody heard of Tierra Mack?
Oh yeah.
Working Mac.
The
Lord have mercy.
twerking senator. The twerking senator. Let me see. Let me see
She's
if I
a
can
state
give it.
senator,
I
right?
regrad Brown University. I relieve grad.
I am gonna.
Senator.
Well, we're gonna do some show and tell just so you can see this. So apparently,
Don't play the sound. If you're on YouTube, don't play it.
The clap. You don't want to hear the clap.
oh yeah, okay. Let's see. Let's kind of turn the sound down. I don't know if I can.
No clap.
Where's the?
Just don't play a video. Don't play it. They'll
So, what the hell was she thinking, man?
tell me
What the
you're trying.
hell?
He wasn't. He wasn't.
I think she
He
was
wasn't.
she was gonna have a good day at the beach and have some fun and be black and fabulous.
Exactly.
I think
And
she
you're-
had too much. She had too much fun at the
you're
beach.
going to use this as part of as part of your campaign when you're a senator.
Did she?
That's
Yes,
that's
she's a
The
senator.
barbershop vote.
With I'm whoever and I endorsed his message.
I don't know what she's.
Barbershop
Oh,
vote.
no, she didn't. She just took
Just vote Senator Mack.
here's the problem with this entire argument. At this point, we are using politics to justify misogyny, and specifically misogyny against Black women. And y'all should be ashamed.
I'm not falling for that. No, I disagree. I disagree. Because if it was a guy that was saying that, I'd seen the same stupid shit too. It's just
That's
stupid.
what she's saying.
As a
That's
senator,
what
you should be
she's
doing
saying
that.
to defend her.
Okay. 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 What would be the difference?
What
if-
about
But Joe,
what
what's the
about
difference?
Ron? What is it? Not Ron Paul. Ryan. Paul Ryan with the RNC produced video of him working out, trying to get the young female voters.
I think
Him
it's-
all sweated up back in the day. See, y'all don't know about that stuff.
I don't know about it, but I think it's stupid too. But
Okay, what if somebody just did a video of her
To the
doing a
point where the
handstand?
man was like, "You're the machine we rage against, you asshole." Like, there's something about Gen Xers.
I mean, what if she was
I
just
mean,
doing a
why
handstand
would-
and she wasn't twerking? Would it be a difference?
Yes.
yeah, I vaguely,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd be
Vaguely.
impressed with her athleticism.
Vaguely.
Especially
What if her
because
Vaguely.
what if her
I'd be
bikini
impressed
You know
with
wasn't
what?
her
like that?
Here's what I'm saying. She's doing something that I see 13-year-olds do in the middle of the damn street. You know, and it's like, come on, man. You
She's
are a
28.
senator.
Honey, you are using the justification of respectability to be misogynistic asshole.
That's her.
You know what?
That's
You know
where
what?
she
You know what?
falls back
Politics.
on. That's what she falling misogyny.
You know
and
what?
Whatever. It don't work.
I don't care. I think.
No, you don't care. I know none of you.
I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid when who is it? Lizzo is twerking at a Lakers game. I don't care. Yeah. Why? Because she's half naked at a Lakers game. I don't care if she's the best looking woman in the world.
Is it Lizzo's job to uphold the race?
No,
Then shut up.
it's her
But
job to
Todd,
sing.
Todd,
But why would
Todd,
she, as
it's
a
her job to
candidate,
sing.
why would she
Job
put
to
herself
uphold
in that
the race.
position? Why would she even put that out there? Why would she give
I think it's a bad
You
look.
know why? For the same reason I wore a tiny ass Speedo to a gay pool party because I had it and I won't do it. God damn it!
I
Shut
mean,
up.
she's 28. We're all old men.
You didn't run for office either after that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you're
she's
running for
28.
office.
We're
She's
all
running for
old
office.
men.
Eric Shock did, and he was half naked on the cover of multiple magazines. Like you're just being misogynistic assholes, and all of you are hiding behind respectability politics to justify your misogyny. All of you.
Hey, no misogyny.
She's 28. She's 28. We're all old men. I don't see any issue with I don't really see any issue with it other than the
I'm indifferent. It really,
yeah. I mean,
Only the
she's
other
young.
people. Yeah, but all her constituents aren't young.
I
You
don't.
understand what I'm saying?
Is she a
I don't.
senator
I
or
don't
is
think.
she
I
running?
don't think it's a wise thing to do.
Well,
I'll
then
leave it at that.
she will lose the election to a Republican who punched her in the face, which means he's cool with abusing women.
Was
Okay?
that the same chick?
Yes.
Was that the same chick?
Yes.
Oh my God! Wow, Jesus!
What happened?
Oh
what
my
happened?
God! Yeah.
What happened?
So,
What happened?
so
I
one
thought
of
you
her
were
opponents.
politics, DJ.
Yeah, her opponent.
I
Apparently,
don't follow Rhode Island.
there was some sort of
You're all up in
rally
Georgia.
that she was at. And
Stop,
he was at, and he wanted to punch him.
stop. You don't follow Rhode Island politics, but you got all kinds of shit to say about Georgia.
Well, maybe
And-
what happened in Rhode Island in this incident you talking about
And
didn't
Hunter
rise
Biden's
to the
laptop.
level
And Hunter Biden's
something that
laptop.
could even
I think you are
didn't
involved.
rise to the level of something
It's not
that I
what you
even
already
should
hate.
even be concerned about.
I think you don't got to
But
stand on my.
let me hear what happened. Let me hear what happened.
So apparently, I don't know the whole
You're
story,
all
but
day to be on the internet. You should know what happened by now.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Go ahead, Tom.
let's see if I can find it. I can find the whole
too
story.
much.
But apparently, they were at some sort of rally. I think it's a Black Lives Matter rally, and he was there with another group, and and there was some sort of skirmish, and he wound up. I don't know if he punched her or mushed her, but he wound up. I think he punched her.
yeah.
Or forced her, but he wound up having to drop out of the race because of it.
Okay, when y'all
and that was just as stupid too. I can find that too. I can find that too, and show how stupid that is. I think
Is it
that's
to the
even
level
stupider.
like where Giuliani said this guy hit him in the back and it was just a tap?
No, it was a real.
Like-
It was a real punch. It was a real
Like Giuliani
assault.
now. And I'm looking at
That was
Giuliani.
stupid.
You would think this dude took his back out or something.
Well, you know what the thing. You know what the thing with Giuliani? He was drunk, so any little bump would knock him off his balance. So
Wait,
you know,
hold on. You got to correct that. When is Giuliani sober? In the middle of sleep? That's
no.
the only time.
About I think
There's a lot of.
I think 2
there's a
hours.
lot of
I think 2 hours in
like that,
the
bro.
morning.
There's a lot of politicians like that, bro. Believe me. I know a lot up in the Connecticut legislative building.
I think Giuliani takes the cake, though. He takes the cake, man. He takes the cake.
Yeah.
He takes the cake. So, we didn't talk about this last week, but I kind of missed it. R. Kelly, buddy, R. Kelly got. We didn't talk about it. No. We still talking about it.
I'm glad
30
it's
years,
over. I'm glad it's
and Elaine Maxwell got 20 years. And
glad that over too.
And I guess people were complaining that, because she got 20 years, you got 30 years, that he got overcharged, she got undercharged. I'm like, come on, man.
Well, it's no comparison.
It's like, come on, man. It's no comparison. Well, actually, it is in a sense.
Well, yeah,
you're right. Because you think about it, the levels that she did was much worse because of the levels of power that she had. But the thing is that he's R. Kelly's a black man, and he was probably he was gonna get overcharged anyway, and he come on, man, 30 years we're doing it. He had multiple chances to straighten up, and he just got worse and worse. It's like, come on, man. It's
because he thought he was a god.
Yeah.
No, when you beat the charge and you get off of it with explicit videotape of you doing God knows what to a minor, you think that you untouchable. So
Same thing with Epstein. Same thing with Epstein. He got off the first time.
Yeah, no, I guess so. He got off too. But
Florida DA helped him.
Right, he got help. He did get help. But the thing with R. Kelly is that bothers with R. Kelly is that why is only he going to jail? You telling me that there's no one else involved that's not that's involved in that whole thing?
To get R. Kelly, they probably cut them deals. They cut the deals.
Yep, big time.
Could be. Good point.
Testify against him, do whatever.
He was the boss. How many years you think Epstein would have got if he didn't kill himself? I bet you he would have got 30, if not life.
Yeah, he'd have gotten 30. Yeah, he would have gotten 30 because they had a lot of information on him, and yeah, but he the problem is he knows where the bodies are buried, so
yeah,
it wasn't as interested to get 30 years. So that's all my rank. Go ahead.
No, we gotta talk about this bodega thing, man, in New York.
Yeah, what's the I saw you talking about. What's the story with it? Tell me. Give me the 4-1 on it. What's the story? What happened?
Apparently, this young lady came into a New York bodega that was owned by a Dominican Republic nationalist. He immigrated here, got his citizenship, started a business, opened up a bodega. Young lady came in late at night to buy some food. She gave an EBT card. She didn't have enough money on the EBT card to get everything she wants. So the owner decided to take the chips, her potato chips, away. She got upset. She went outside and got her boyfriend. Her boyfriend, who has been in prison a couple of times, multiple felonies, he comes around the counter, accosts the owner, pushes him down in a chair, accosting him. The owner is not retaliating or anything and stuff. The owner tries to get up, to go away, to retreat from the situation. He grabs the guy by the neck, back of the neck, in his shirt, and looks like he's leading him outside. While he was leading the old man outside. This guy's a young dude. This guy was, 61, 62, something like that. While he leading him outside, the old man grabbed a knife and stabbed him multiple times. The kid, I guess, ended up leaving the bill. And during this altercation, the girlfriend stabbed the owner. So I guess the kid went outside, went where probably to the hospital, but he ended up dying a day or two later. And District Attorney Elvin Bragg charged the owner with murder with a $250,000 bail and placed him in Rikers. Did not charge the girl who stabbed the guy in the altercation, the owner in the altercation, and is responsible for the whole thing.
Wow.
People went crazy. Everybody says this is a classic case of self-defense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It looks like it. You know, it's reminding me of it.
And it's on video. Thank God for the video, because if the video wasn't there, they probably would have been marching on that store, marching down the street saying that this guy killed this dude, bro.
You know what this reminds me of in a weird way? I don't know if you remember during the 90s, Latasha Harlings, I think it's her name, young 15-year-old girl went into a Korean store, got in a fight with the owner, and she threw the bag at her, I think it was an orange, just threw it at her, woman shot in the head, killed her dead, woman got 5 years sentence.
Or the white guy on a subway that ended up shooting somebody on the
Bernard
subway.
Getz.
What was it?
Bernard Getz. Yep. He didn't get anything. He quitted, walked free. Yeah, it's interesting. It shows how like certain people can get away with certain things.
Yep.
You know?
Everybody.
And this guy is some old immigrant bodega guy, and they're trying to railroad him or trying to
for a bag of chips, and they put them in Rikers, bro.
Yeah, I know. Gladiator school.
And we're letting people rob stores at gunpoint, and they don't even hold them overnight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. That's tough, man. Gladiator school, man. It's crazy.
I mean, just like in Georgia, I heard in Georgia a roadway incident where I guess it's I don't know if they were Spanish or black, but cut this guy off, and he got mad, cut them off, and he pulled out his gun and shot into his husband, wife, and kids shot into the car 14 times, wounding the husband, I believe, critically. He's not dead, but it close.
Right.
And he just got charged with attempted assault. He got charged with assault, and then some other vehicular
crazy.
thing. I'm like, come on, that was attempted
That's
murder
crazy.
if I ever saw it. But
Wow.
because if it was me, I would have been dead. One or two, they would have charged me with attempted murder.
Yeah. I wonder what the only question I have, and I'd like to read about the case, see more about it, is what was the circumstances? Was it like where, was this situation where they got cut off and they started throwing, doing, middle fingers and cuss each other out, and it escalated to that point?
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean?
Or from what I understand, he got mad that he got cut off and drove up. Obviously, I don't know, but the full detail. But he got mad. It was a family. They wasn't trying to do anything. They had kids in the car.
Yeah.
And he got mad and pulled up on him, and then he pulled out his gun, a shotgun, and shot him into the car 14 times.
Which is crazy, man. Just crazy,
Assault.
Just as a caveat to that thing, I guess yesterday or today, the judge, when a guy, his name Jose Alba, the owner of the store, came in front of the judge lowered the bail to $50,000. Another part of it is that people in the neighborhood wanted to do a GoFundMe page for the owner, and GoFundMe declined it.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, because I was gonna say they should only have their GoFundMe.
He said because DA Bragg charged him with murder, despite that it's an obvious self-defense, and the judge must have thought so to even lower it to 50,000. They would not allow his family or people in the community who wanted to do it to open up a GoFundMe for the owner of the store.
What do you think the DA is trying to accomplish out of this?
That DA has issues anyway.
He looks bad, bro. Everybody, even the mayor Adams, had to come out and say it. He said it in a very diplomatic way, but the chief of police, that black girl, she didn't hold back. But even the mayor had to come out and go against the grain, the DA and the governor, and say, yo, this one was wrong. He had a right to, he was in his right to do whatever he can when this guy started grabbing him and taking him wherever he was to do whatever he was gonna do.
But I'm trying to figure out what is he trying to gain out of this? You know what I mean? It's like, if you're a DA, you obviously want to stay in DA. This is not a popular decision.
Exactly.
I just don't get what's his end game in doing
they
this.
Already recalled this. They already recalled the DA, the progressive DA in San Francisco, Gascon. They now have enough votes to recall him. And like, you're not learning from all that. And we talking about the most liberal state, California. We ain't even talking about New York. And they recalling DAs because of their soft on crime views. It doesn't make no sense, bro.
In San Francisco, how can I put it? The DA, talking about the DA in San Francisco, right?
Right.
Boutin or whatever his name is.
Yeah, well, that's because, like, San Francisco is the whatever tech capital, and how can I put it? Starting house price is probably about a $1.5 million, on 1.5.
Oh yeah.
1.2.
Gentrification.
The homeless population has increased dramatically in the last few years. So you got
a big issue with that too.
Like excrementing on the street, this, that, and the other, breaking into the cars, and these tech elites don't take kindly to that stuff. So that's how come he's gone. And that's the crime. That's the type of crime that they're talking about. It's not like what we just, like the crime you're talking about. It's different, but they want to live in a nice, pristine, clean, sanitized, computerized city.
And I've been to France. I'm sure some of you done been to San Francisco.
I haven't. I like to visit.
It was a beautiful city, bro.
I've heard it has a huge homeless problem, like really bad. Really bad. Like they really bad. Like they live on the streets bad.
Like park right in front of your business where you got a business and do they business in front of your business, where that's the first thing you got to do when you show up at your job is sweep doo-doo.
Wow.
And pee
yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Well, I mean, guess what happens when you price folks out of the housing thing, and even like civil service people can't afford housing in San Francisco. The police.
Oh yeah. Professors at schools living in living in vans and stuff.
Living in cars. Yeah, that's people make like you from I was reading somewhere, I think in San Francisco or in that area, you have to be like make $100,000, $130,000 just to make it there. It's like,
yeah, man.
Come on.
So
it's just 6 figures guaranteed.
But Gascon, the DA in LA in his district, they got 700 and something thousand signatures for his recall. That ain't, and we know there isn't not 700 and something thousand Republicans in LA.
Well,
so what that mean?
That could have crossed party lines.
Nobody wants crime, DJ.
Yeah.
No sir.
It cuts across parties. It cuts across parties.
So everybody wants to be able to call the police. Like I should say everybody, but if you live in certain neighborhoods, you can't call, because if you do call, you're jeopardizing your life and your family life for calling the police. But if people who live in more, what's the word I'm looking for? Typical sort of situations, then like you want to be able to pick up the phone and call the police and have them show up in a reasonable amount of time. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. And the cops frustrated, and now they're like, yo, man, y'all done took away my qualified immunity and stuff. So y'all saying that I can get sued?
We just talked about rough ride. Qualified immunity. We just talked about rough ride. Qualified immunity. Come on now.
Yeah, I ain't coming to nothing unless somebody done got shot after they got shot.
Do your job equitably.
yeah, but they want to come home, man. Please, you ain't gonna get back.
Guess what?
I gotta worry about coming home. I gotta worry about coming home every night. And now y'all talking about taking my life savings away. Probably put me in jail.
Wait, but DJ, you just validated the Uvalde police. Like I'm not going in. I want to go home. I gotta
exactly.
Like, exactly. No. Do your job. That's part of the job. Do your job.
Exactly.
Yep.
Do your job. Go in. Save some lives.
So
exactly.
So anyone else? Y'all, we will all go. Everybody had that texting beef now. This is your time to sort it out now. I'm stepping aside. I
done said everything I want to say.
No, you haven't.
I'm sure you haven't, Mike.
I said everything I'm going to say.
Now say it on there.
I'm giving it once, twice, 3 times later. Anybody got any smoke? We're all going hard with the texting, man. People going hard, man. They were going real. They were like, going all out. DJ setting thirst traps, and Mike.
Wow.
Yeah, Mike was kind of Mike didn't like my attire and my photo.
Well, bro, I can't unsee it. That's all.
Yeah. I was out when y'all was doing all that texting, and when I looked at my phone, I had 135 texts.
But let me say this, because don't think it's not just me. Y'all got to understand that when I get on there and being that person that leans right, most of the time I'm responding to 5 different people.
You
So
just
it may
wake
look
up and
like
choose
I'm doing
violence.
most.
No, sometimes you start.
Wake up and
The
Yeah,
last
you
time
wake
you
up and
started
choose
it.
violence.
No,
You
no.
started it,
Did
man.
I start it
I was in
today?
the
Did I
hospital.
start it today?
I don't know about today, but I think it was last
remember-
Friday.
Okay,
you
one
started
out
it.
of 7,
I was
1
in
out of
the
5.
and you were bitching about nobody responding to you. And the only reason I was up is because I was taking medications. And you up here bitching at 7:45 in the goddamn morning.
Wait, wait.
Outside.
But it ain't. But Mike, hey Mike, but you always single me out, Mike, and I'm obviously communicating with somebody, and you always single me out, bro.
You always
You be waking up and choosing violence.
I'm not doing it. I'm not. I already had a call earlier tonight about me yelling on the podcast, so I'm not doing it.
Podcast is the place to yell.
Well, no, I mean, from my side in the house.
Oh.
Downstairs, it'll be like something wrong. No,
Stop yelling!
What's wrong with you?
I'm trying to sleep.
And I don't care what nobody say. I don't text half as much because when Abstract
him too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, him too.
Abstract be arguing.
I think he speaks into his phone. I don't know because he says a lot every time.
He does. I mean, it's like, come on, man. How do you write a paragraph in text? How do you write full paragraphs in text?
That's what I'm saying.
Come on, man.
He'll have like 3 posts that's probably about 300 characters before I can finish my response to the one before.
Man, I can't do it, man.
Well, talking text is a bad function anyway.
Yeah,
I agree. I never use it. I
mean, I have used it in instances where and again, in the last 2 months, there have been instances where I am honestly too tired to talk, or what I want to say is going to take forever if I type it, which often includes me being too tired to type with my thumbs. But it's not great because it oftentimes messes up stuff. And
it doesn't get it right.
It has no ability to do grammar, so punctuation and stuff. So everything just sort of runs together. You usually end up having to either edit it or you just go, fuck it, I'm gonna send it and they can figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think that's what Abstract do. He speaks it into his phone and then he edits it. And then he
also, like, a lot of times, like as polite as I can say this, DJ, a lot of us, not me included, got shit to do during the middle of the day. And between you and him, because you are both egregious with this.
Oh my God, you should be going crazy.
Getting updates.
I get pulled in. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, same here.
DJ,
I do too.
DJ, you don't get pulled in. And I'm gonna say this nicely. I'm gonna say this as nicely as possible. A lot of times, and the reason why I stopped talking after a certain time is because I've come to realize I am no longer arguing with facts. I am arguing with someone who's fighting to be the last one talking. And I mean that for you. I mean that for you.
That's possible. No,
it's not possible. It is what it's
happening. I got that from Abstract.
My sister is one of those people. Okay?
I got that from Abstract.
Well, Abstract ain't here for me to yell at.
Yeah, him too.
Abstract. Okay, now, my other problem, DJ, is that characteristically jump to other shit when you don't got anything else to say. And then you get mad at us for not jumping to other shit with you.
No, that ain't true, bro. I'm coming from 5. I'm getting it from 5 angles, bro.
The shit you type. Now here's the problem. I honestly feel like your arguments is like a big like cloud of stuff, which is fine. No. Hold on. I also have a cloud. These are all the things, and I like to specialize. And hold on, let me get a book for you.
Turn my light on so people can see my face.
When I was a little kid, there used to be the show on TV called the either the Day the Universe Changed or Connections. It's by this author, and what he ended up doing was talking about how, like, you know, you could how the production of sugar in Jamaica, related to the end of the Civil War, like that kind of shit. Things connect back and forth in different ways. So I got very used to trying to look to see where there are connections. And I honestly think, DJ, you do that same thing, and I'm being nice about it. But I think,
bro, thank you.
I do not take the time to critically analyze the connections you are making. You just sort of make them because they fit a narrative you are already on. Okay, it's the same way that you said I'm not a progressive, I never will be. Whereas I am a staunch progressive, and the reason I am is because I look at what's going on, and literally all the things that are wrong with America come down to racism, conservatism, and capitalism. All of them.
That's your opinion, bro. I can respect
it's not my opinion.
I don't agree with it. I don't agree
like if you're any kind of critical thinker and you saw that, you wouldn't be a Republican either, because they mean you no good. They mean to fuck all of us, and us specifically, because we are black. Okay,
Mike, the older you get, the more right you're gonna go. Watch and see.
No, I'm not. There's nothing positive on the right.
Watch and see.
You
might not go Republican. You gonna become a moderate. You gonna become conservative.
I'm 40.
Watch and see. I was like you, Mike. I was like you.
And look at how far you have strayed. What girl hurt you?
I was like you.
What car did you not buy at a critical moment? Okay, like seriously, dude. Like
Mike, I was just like you in college, bro. I was giving protest. I was leading protest.
You know what I've gone through.
I was a leader in college. People was looking at me to be the person that spoke when the media showed up, bro. I was like you. And believe when you're old, watch and see.
And here you are now, doing the tap people that mean us all harm. I don't know what happened to you. and now I'm done. I'm done. See that?
You can speculate.
I respect your opinion. I respect your opinion.
So speculate.
But Hunter Biden's laptop has lots of interesting things on.
Oh my gosh.
I
can't even believe you stretched that, DJ. I just can't.
Y'all just wait on that. The laptop that just keep on giving.
No. Just wait on that. Guess what my counter to Hunter Biden laptop is? What? Jenny Thomas phone. Let us get a hold of Jenny Thomas.
You did mention that.
You know what?
No. You know what you mentioned? We were talking about.
Mute for a second. Was me having to answer a phone call from my family downstairs.
You know what? On a side note, this week I was watching Tubi this week, and they have a documentary on Clarence Thomas, and I started watching. I said, let me just see what what's he's saying. And it was interesting.
Ain't shit.
But you know what though? He is.
I don't care that he's a former black activist.
Yeah, I get it. Right.
Actively causing harm to the community now. And his wife's a fucking traitor.
Here's the thing. I was watching it, and the thing that's interesting about it is that he talks about his life, like he's really poor, and he's raised by his grandfather. His mother, I think his mother had abandoned him or left him with his grandparents, and he had his whole sort of complex life. And
probably saw what he was going to become, but didn't want no part of it.
Here's the thing. Originally, he was going to be
like a hot potato too.
Mike,
originally, he was going to be a seminary. Went to seminary, and I guess I think they called him N-word, and he wanted not doing that. He went to Harvard. He became a Black Panther, because he became Black Panther. And he had disillusions with that. He had gotten arrested or gotten mixed up with that.
And the thing, albino panther that painted himself black.
He was a Black Panther. But here's the thing.
Albino panther that painted himself black.
Here's the thing in watching it. He was like at a really white campus. It was like the blackest kid at the white campus. You know what I mean? He was kind of like really trying super hard to be super black on a white campus. You know what I mean? And he didn't hold no weight. But anyhow,
I grew up like that too. It didn't turn me against black people.
But
forever.
I'm talking about. But you didn't have.
Yeah. That nigga hates being black. That nigga hates being black.
He did because here's the thing. As I was watching it, they were talking like how all of a sudden he was doing all these good things. He's working with this Republican senator and all this other stuff. And he was moving his way up. That's kind of hooked up with the Republican Party. And I don't know what happened. I guess he had some issue with Juan Williams. He's another commentator. He wrote this scathing rebuke of him, and he like blames it on him, and that's the reason why he's the way he is. And the one thing there's a book that this guy wrote that was a Trump supporter. He's a gay guy who was a Trump supporter. He talks about like how people support Trump, like how they get hooked into Trump's world. And he was saying that like the thing is that you want to be part of the you grow up and you want to be in a winning team. You want to be part of the cool kids club, and you get there, right? And then you become sucked into that world. And then once you start sucked into that world, that's your whole worldview. I think the same thing with Clarence Thomas. I think after once he started being with Republicans, he kind of got sucked into that world. And then once he got sucked into that world, that's your whole everything. And it
left out a part.
Clouds his vision.
It was weak.
You know what I mean?
No, you left out a part. I don't know if it was in a documentary you watched, but I don't know if you remember back in the day when we was in your basement cast and Abstract gave us something to read before the cast about Clarence Thomas and his life and how he couldn't handle the liberal scene at the Ivy League university he went to because it was paternalistic. And once he kind of realized that, he kind of rebelled against that because obviously he wasn't intellectual.
So was he like a recluse?
Well, here's the story. Clarence Thomas.
Hold on a second. The thing was like he wasn't, in my opinion, at that time. I'm not saying now. At that time, he wasn't intellectual enough to be able to hold his own and argue with them, even to break down their paternalistic stuff. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, there's a lot of pain in it. A lot.
He got hurt because he didn't realize like the only reason they kind of accepted him is because you're the unicorn Negro. You're the magical unicorn, exceptional, blah, blah, blah. But you'll never be one of us, because he thought that he could be one of them.
Yep.
And I guess he got that need met in the conservative Republican Party later in his life.
And the weird.
So
did you know that
he found the Republican Party inclusive?
More inclusive than he found
to him.
That's not the fuck you think it is, DJ.
No,
I know you laughing.
I'm laughing, and I'm gonna smile with DJ.
It gave a stupid Negro some crumbs.
I'm gonna smile with
DJ.
DJ.
So empty inside, but he just ate it all up the whole ass cake, just like you. Now,
did you know that Clarence Thomas was married to a black woman first? Jenny is his first marriage. So as I'm watching it, they're talking about he's married to I forget the woman's name he's married to. He's going to college, he's doing the college thing, whatever.
What's his name?
And he what's funny is how he like talks about like how he like they didn't work out, like it was like they drifted apart and all this. But he's really dismissive of it. Like, you know what I mean? It was like,
you sure that wasn't like a reverse, like Uncle Ruckus with the revitiligo? That wasn't a Clarence Bigsby from the Chappelle show. He found out she was black and he divorced her.
I don't know, man. It might be, man. It might be.
But hey, let's say this, because one thing that I'll just refer to at the end of the text today was when he said bringing up Jenny Thomas. And I guess I was at the end, Mike and Abstract, or one of them was talking about we was talking about Fauci, right? And Fauci, that's how the reference back to Jenny Thomas came up. And what you was alluding to was basically because I think I had mentioned and stuff about the conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And I think the difference between the two is that and it's definitely open for discussion whether I know whether I say so or not. But the difference is that his wife is a head, one of the top officials in the NIH, and he runs the NIAID. That's that's the agency that Dr. Fauci run, that had all the gang of function stuff, all the stuff going over in Wuhan. The funding, he gets a whole bunch of funding each year from the federal government and decides on what to put that funding to as far as different researches and stuff. Her job is she's the person who basically determines where the money go, and also she determines whether or not, let me see,
This is Fauci's
hold
wife.
on.
Yes.
This Fauci wife, yeah, Fauci wife, she determines the funding, and where the money, if money is going, and determine whether or not that whatever he's gonna put it to, whether it's ethical. She's that ethical person, that ethics person.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where the conflict of interest is, because him being her husband, he can say, now there are certain researches that is outlawed in the United States, but in China it's legal. So if you're getting taxpayers' money to fund something that's illegal in the United States, and he decides to fund gain of function research dealing with viruses, where if something happened, it can be released all across the world based on the type of research you're doing, that's where the conflict of interest comes in. And that's different.
I don't understand. That's
different. Hold up, let me finish. Let me finish. That's different from Jenny, because Jenny's job has nothing to do with the Supreme Court justice. She's not even in government.
Wrong.
But she is a Supreme Court justice's wife. And when you plotting to overthrow, to try to insurrection, you don't think that's a conflict of interest?
All right, let me explain. Let me explain the conflict of
Go ahead.
Let me explain the conflict of interest. Okay, so Jenny Thomas is high up in a political activism group, a conservative.
She's a Republican activist.
Yeah. Yes, no, but she's also an attorney. She's in the top. No, yeah, she's also in she's in the top tier. So the fact that we have this stuff going on January 6th, she's calling high-level folks in the current administration. Look, we all know that Supreme Court justices get their appointments from the presidency. We also know that they have their own sort of personal political slant. They all do.
All of them do.
No. But they know that they have to play a certain political game to get appointments. And the fact that Brett Kavanaugh can say to the Democratic people, well, payback is going to be whatever. Like, he said something to that effect to them when they were grilling him about what is it? The journal, the weird journal that he was talking about, that the girls accused him
during his confirmation.
Yes, during his confirmation. What the point is, like, she's a political activist. She's married to a Supreme Court justice. Quid pro quo. They realize that if they have her on their side, they might be able to somehow influence him to make decisions into the conservative favor, even though he's already going to make them. But it gives them a little bit of leeway on questionable stuff. That's the conflict of interest. And as far as January 6th goes, the minute she started contacting people, any case involving January 6th that makes it to the Supreme Court, he needs to excuse himself from that case. But he says he's not going to do it.
I that's and I respect your opinion, but I disagree, because you're assuming that he's not going to fulfill his duty.
No. It's not a question. It's not a question of duty at that point. If somebody, the standard holds true even in businesses. When businesses have um, promotions, they have like sweepstakes, this, that, and the other. Certain family members that's related to the people to that stuff can't even play or apply because it's a conflict of interest. So the fact that she was involved in the events of January 6th, he should not preside over any court case. It's a conflict.
Absolutely not.
It's a conflict of interest, pure and simple.
And but the only thing she did when she called, the only thing she did is that she
But no, it
agreed
doesn't
that
matter. Like,
there was.
put it this way: if she didn't call, it wouldn't be a conflict of interest. But we know that she did. We know that she said she had
Okay.
communications to
So,
try to persuade people to
all right.
her agenda, and she's married. She's married to him.
All right. So tell me this: based on what I told you about Dr. Fauci's wife, is that a conflict of interest where she's the ethics person? And
Does the ethics
huh?
person control where the funding goes?
Yes, she can stop funding. She can tell them no.
She
If
can,
we're
she can,
doing
she can stop
yes,
funding, but she doesn't say that I want this to be funded. So she's a veto vote.
right. So
So how's that a
basically, the
conflict of interest?
NIAID, which Fauci runs, gets their own funding.
No,
Now they can
I
also
understand
get
what you're saying,
additional
but
funding from the NIH. The
no, but
NIH is above.
you don't understand. Like it would be. I'm not saying that there's not some level of conflict there, but what I am saying is more conflict if she's the person that determines where's the funding goes, and her husband has what's the word, decision making power of the proposal of where funding goes. You understand what I'm saying? They both tied to
Exactly.
the funding.
And that's
No,
and
but
that
she's
is the
not. She
case
just
because
has
if
veto.
you listen,
It's unethical. She can stop it, but she doesn't propose where it goes.
And wait a minute, how long have
no,
how long have they been working
she can
together? How long have they been working together?
I think she was working at the NIH, and I want to say she has been she was working in, well, he's been working in he's in government for what,
And I think you're making the assumption that he controls where all of the research, he dictates where all the studies go to. I think you're making that assumption.
No.
She might
That's an assumption.
She might recuse herself from ethical decisions on anything that he's associated with. Do we know that? Or has she been part of the ethical decision-making process on places where funding, where he's proposed they went to, and she's been a part of that, and she said yay or nay? Do we know that situation has happened, or we just know the structural dynamic?
By virtue of her being the head
no, like the same thing with Clarence. If he recuses himself from anything connected to his wife, then he's doing what he needs to do. That's fine.
Tell me this: if you're the head of an agency, and even if you recuse yourself, and a subordinate is now placed in that position, you're telling me that there's a possibility that the head director of the agency would not have an influence on that subordinate?
Yes, they would have an influence, but as far as if they say that they're recusing, if they leave themselves out of the total process and give that subordinate total authority making ability, then yes, it's fine. It meets the legal standards. That's what I'm saying.
If that's honored, if they're honored, and it's honored, everybody is aware of the fact that the Fauci's are, and her last name is for some reason is different from his. But y'all do realize that
women have that choice. That's their right. Well, I don't know how much longer with the current SCOTUS that we have that it will be their right, but we will see.
Yeah. So, but y'all do realize I'm just referring to her to Miss Fauci because I can't recall her name that she goes by. But y'all, let me remember what the point that I was gonna make. but she go ahead.
No, I'm
Fauci
listening.
wasn't an issue until he got into it with Trump. Nobody heard or gave a crap about Fauci before. Fauci was helping folks until he got into it with Trump. That's when folks started or the whole thing with the pandemic. That's when folks started tripping on Fauci. Fauci was just trying to help folks.
Well,
so and then just to go a little further, I don't see where there's a conflict of interest, because if you running a nonprofit, you and your wife running a nonprofit, you getting the funding or whatever, and she decides where the funding goes. She's doing her part, you doing yours. How is that a conflict of interest? And why hasn't all the years that they've been there, why hasn't it come up before? Until folks start ragging on Fauci.
Wait a minute. It's a conflict of interest because what we're talking about, and we're talking about the expertise that they're involved in. There's a very small, minute amount of people. Ron Paul might be one of them that even is aware of what gain of function was before it became common knowledge and what it entails. That you're experimenting on bats and learning how to create some type of virus in a human being and stuff. You think that is something that is going to be common knowledge and out there for everybody to know?
I mean, that's just like the Pentagon spending 20 grand on the toilet. It's stuff like that happens that we don't know about, but it happens.
Exactly. So and we're not aware. Does that make it right?
No, but
it doesn't make it right.
No, it doesn't make it right.
I think there's a difference between, overcharging for a toilet seat and a judge's wife being implicated in an insurrection. There's
exactly.
Totally. There are different levels to it. There are different levels to it.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference in a certain type of research being outlawed in the United States and a person who worked, the highest paid person in the government, funding through a third source for the funding for the research to take place in a country that don't have the regulations that the United States have.
But again,
y'all agree?
No, well, let's talk about how that works. So this is how that works. The research that happens in another country, usually research like that happens with multiple companies. One company might get the grant from the U.S., a foreign company,
a third party, like
blah blah blah, and that's how they make it work. Like these companies, they conduct research. They follow the rules of whatever country that they're in. So even American countries, when they're abroad, they do certain stuff in other countries where they don't have the same restrictions, and then they might bring that stuff back to the U.S. to be approved by the FDA.
Right. But they're not supposed to. Gain of function, when you're out there, and we all know what gain of function is. We all knows how that. Do anybody still believe that this virus came from somebody getting bit by a bat? Out in a market somewhere? Y'all still believe that?
Where do you think it came from?
I was saying that.
Do y'all feel?
DJ, I didn't believe that from day one.
Yeah, no one believed that. No one.
I didn't believe that from day one.
All right, so if it's banned in the United States, if we banned it in the United States, why should our tax dollars go to fund?
Our tax dollars go to cancer research, and we know they can cure it.
The lab that it came from was doing joint research with Harvard University. You say what?
If they was doing joint research?
Yes, with Harvard University.
If Howard University is getting funding from the federal government and that research is banned by the United States, they should not be getting the funding.
No. But the point is, you made it seem like it was just them doing it and that it couldn't happen. Like what I'm saying is, there are institutions that are tied to America, like I said in my example with the companies. There's multiple companies contributing to the same research. from different places. They got different rules that they got to play by in their home country, but in the end, the research gets done. That was my point. That was my point. And I kind of wanted to I want to offer up a different line of discussion, a little bit about the current president and foreign policy, more of a theoretical thing. Do you think who can tell me, or does anybody think that any individual president that has served since, let's say, what is it? I think I got to go back to, what is it, 60 or 64, somewhere around there. Henry Kissinger. No, hold on a second. No. Henry Kissinger. What president has had more influence on foreign policy than Henry Kissinger has had, who has served as like Secretary of State?
Secretary of State.
None.
Yeah.
None. That evil man's still alive.
The closest.
So I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff that we contribute to the presidency. That
probably he was.
It's the folks
because I'm looking at because John, the guy who our energies are now, he was the Secretary of State, right? And Hillary Clinton, correct?
Yeah.
John, what's his name? Big head dude who the energies are. John. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. He's an energy czar now and stuff. He goes talking about promoting Greenpeace and everything.
John Kerry?
Kerry.
Yeah,
John Kerry was Secretary of State. And then I think Hillary replaced him, correct?
Yeah,
and
he was
before that, and then before that, during George Bush, Secretary of State was
the fact that we can't remember his name. The fact that we can't remember.
Bolton, maybe.
The fact that we can't remember his name. No.
I would say
my point was just Henry Kissinger. He was Secretary of State for over 20 years.
Yeah.
He had more of a profound effect on foreign policy than any U.S. president who sat for 4 or 8 years, because he had a certain philosophy about it, this, that, and the other, and he was able to implement that philosophy in Republican administrations and Democratic administrations. We get on presidents about their foreign policy, this, that, or the other, but there's people behind the scenes that have way more of a profound effect on it than what the president has.
They're called kingmakers. That's what Cameron Kissinger
all right,
is.
but tell me this. So tell me this. Does anybody have a problem with the job that Mike Pompeo did? And do y'all anybody have a problem with his character?
Yes.
What was it? What was it? What is the problem?
Mike Pompeo just was an ass. He wasn't, to me, Mike Pompeo wasn't trying to do everything for the American people. Mike Pompeo was just for Trump.
Well, like, give me an example.
I'd have to look up an example. Only.
See, bro, come on now.
I'm answering your question.
Come on.
I'm answering your question. Whenever I saw Mike Pompeo talking or whatever he did, or it was always about Trump. I never got the feeling. I'm sure he is
soft-spoken, very, very intelligent. And I think if he ran, he would be a problem for any Democrat that ran against him, in my personal opinion. And I have never heard the guy speak. I thought he was a classy individual. Does anybody else have anything that negative to say about Mike Pompeo? Considering that, what we was going through, we talking about the wars and negotiating with Russia and China and all that. Does anybody got anything negative to say about Mike Pompeo besides Leon?
A religious zealot? Yeah, I mean,
was he involved in?
We can't bring religion.
No, was Pompeo?
Religion ain't got nothing to do with state global
politics. Was Pompeo involved with trying to get dirt on Hillary during the election? Like Donald Trump?
Not that I'm aware of. That's not that I'm aware of.
DJ, why would you ask people if they have anything negative to say, and then when someone says to you, say you can't use
because you bringing up his religion, bro.
What does
his religion?
not connected?
What does his religion have to do?
Separation.
What does Mike?
Because
Mike, what does his personal religion have?
Operate as if their religion. These people don't operate as if there's a separation between their religion and their politics. They simply don't. So you have to take.
We have the SCOTUS that we have,
and especially, as an example, especially because the way the Republicans generally have been running, like your religious affiliation is important to Republicans. So to pretend like
it's not the Democrats, and you're saying that it's not the Democrats.
No, it's not. It's not.
The Democrats are a boogeyman, my guy. Like,
I ain't saying they're book, but I don't. So y'all, so what about his religion that sucked? Because maybe you can enlighten me about that. What about
that white conservatives worship a completely different version of Jesus than everybody else?
Then how many? When you say, right? Hey, somebody else elucidate on his statement, because so I can get a different. Yeah, elucidate. Enlighten me on it.
Why did you say enlighten?
Tell me what he was saying, because I'm missing something.
I know
you.
Okay, let's put it this way. I think what he's trying to say is, in other religions, people kind of Christian denomination. Jesus is from the New Testament and the teachings of the New Testament.
Okay.
Being humble, forgiving, serving, being non-judgmental. And the one that they serve is the opposite of that. You must conform.
Okay.
You must do what we want you to do. Like women, we control your bodies. That sort of thing. Folks of color, but because of Ham, like y'all are all subpar. Like it's all Old Testament stuff. I think that's what he's saying.
All right, and so y'all saying Pompeo displayed these attributes?
I'm not interested in walking a guy through theology. I actually have to eat and take my.
You mentioned theology. You brought theology into the conversation.
I know, but I expected you to be smarter than this, and I'm done.
Somebody else, and I'm asking, like,
I'm
missing something, Mike. I'm missing something.
Right.
So I'm asking other people. I'm asking other people.
Honestly,
did Mike Pompeo?
Honestly,
DJ, you can't deny that the evangelicals are the voting bloc of the Republican Party that vote more consistently than anybody else at probably a 25% of their votes, and they push their agenda and they get their agenda. And if you don't vote for them, they don't vote. If you don't vote the way that they want you to vote, they don't vote for you, and you won't be in office long. So they're pushing their agenda, and there is no equivalent in the Democratic Party.
So Mike Pompeo displayed this orthodox.
Let's just say, whether he believed it or not, and in his speech and his actions, to get to where he got, he played the game to be able to do.
Okay, do we recall something that major that happened during the Trump campaign that he made a part of, as far as bringing a few Islamic nations together for the first time? Is that something that a white evangelical, and to include Israel, is that something that a white evangelical person do?
Yes. You want to know why?
Why would they pull a different Muslim nation for the first time?
Wait, wasn't his son-in-law
Wait, hold on a second. Don't evangelicals, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm kind of shooting off the hip, but I think, don't they think that Israel has to be destroyed before Christ returns? Isn't that part of their faith?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah. So you like
I have no idea.
the whole. It's
But we all agree that we all agree that we remember that
Remember
we all
what was
agree
that?
that we remember that. What you say? What
No,
did
I
you
was
just
just-
say?
That was it. What were you saying? Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, we all do remember that for the very first time they brought Muslim nations, opposing Muslim nations into an accord that never happened before. So I'm just that seems like that's antithesis of what y'all saying. The white.
You say accord, they got them in the same room. Like there's always been summits.
Who is this? Pompeo did?
Yeah, he's the Secretary of State.
You seem to really be in the bag for Mike Pompeo. I mean, I'm just.
No, I'm just, yeah. I honestly think
really be in the bag for him.
He's a Trump lackey.
Yeah, that's everything I'm reading is like he's Trump's biggest ally and best supporter, and like.
I mean, I'm reading about
his nutsack. I'm like,
what is it? Arms deal that he got caught with, circumventing Congress.
What arms deal is that?
Like the Contras, like Reagan.
Because we can talk about Fast and Furious too, but go ahead.
Like Reagan and the Contras.
We can talk about Fast and Furious too.
What else was he doing? He was making State Department officials wash his dishes, do his laundry, get his cleaning, all of that crap. His wife was too.
Oh,
yeah. Say that again. Wait a minute. Say that again.
He was making people wash his dishes, walk his dog. Remember when all of that came out? Get his dry cleaning.
He's the only politician that leaders that does that.
You good? Yeah, I'm good. Oh.
He's the only elitist that does that. You think Pelosi is doing that stuff? You think she's walking her dog and picking up shit?
Hey, DJ, what do you mean when you say Fast and the Furious? Was that a movie on Hunter Biden's laptop that they?
Oh.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Y'all know what Fast and the Furious is, and that was a whole big deal with Eric Holder. We sent guns down to Mexico. Y'all know what it is.
They got pictures of Vin Diesel on Hunter Biden's laptop.
Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is. So come on, don't just
mythical laptop. The mythical laptop.
You know when it comes down to being Secretary of State, you down with motherfucking the CIA. And you a part of every damn thing that goes on foreign. Anything if we send Navy SEALs in and we try to disrupt another country's government, you already know all that shit. And you know that Secretary of State is involved in all that shit.
Of course they are.
Yeah, of course they are.
So come on now.
Folks, I think we went way off in the weeds. I think
that's what happened.
I think I'm about to close on the shop.
When y'all gave Mike the green light, that's what happened. I tried.
Oh, y'all were way in the weeds with that, man.
Y'all, every time I get out, y'all pull me back in.
We pull you back in?
We pull you back in. You put yourself on. Like I said, you wake up and choose violence. So
you
draw people in.
9 o'clock, DJ. 9 o'clock.
All right, y'all. Let's call it, man. All
right, y'all.
Two shout outs, man. R.I.P. James Caan, man. He died recently. He died last week. One of my favorite.
Yeah, man.
Couple days yesterday.
Starting from The Godfather, The Thief, and Misery. Man, those are great movies, man.
Yeah,
and
Sonny Corleone.
Yeah, Sonny Corleone. And Tony Paulie Walnuts from Sopranos died too.
Yep.
I'm like, oh man, that's kind of sad, man.
So another shout out, Todd. He said he's your cousin. Brandon Neal.
Yeah.
I saw him. We go to the same gym.
How's he doing, man? I seen him in a while.
He's good. He was up there, I think, for something he was up there for last week. But I see him every couple weeks. We run into each other at the gym.
That's good. That's good. Yeah,
We were talking the other day, and he told me because I was talking to him about the podcast. He was like, Todd is my cousin. I was like, I did not know that.
Yeah, we're family cousins. We're close.
Yeah, but he's
friend cousin type of deal,
Yeah, but he's good. He's good.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while. I need to.
He's doing very well down in DC.
Yeah, he was with Obama.
Yeah, he
Obama
was
like that. He was with Obama, so he's
now he has his own political action firm.
Yeah, he's sitting pretty, man. I'm like,
yeah,
man,
he's doing well.
I can hit him up for some money, man. Hey, come on, man. Let's help me with some money. Let me borrow some money, man. Let me get a loan here. That's cool. Next time you tell us what's up, man.
Will do.
I'm gonna say what's up. We need to plan something, man. All of us. When it's gonna be up and around the way.
I'm actually gonna be up there on the day. I was just talking to Sean earlier. I'm gonna be up there on the day of his party, but my train gets in. It gets in kind of late. Like I know it starts at 6:30. My train gets in at 6:30. So I told him, I was like, I feel kind of bad coming late, or I don't know what'll happen or whatever. But at minimum, I am gonna try to come through at least when it's over to see y'all outside, just to say, hey,
just stop in, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that.
We'll be there. We usually it might start at 6:30, but an hour, if not 2, is just socializing.
Yeah. But I didn't want him to play in a space for me or anything like that, and just something happens. Plus, I'll be on the train for 6 hours, so but I am gonna come through though.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna do that.
Man. We can just catch up, man.
And I'll be up there for 2 weeks.
All right, man. We'll definitely hook up, man.
All right, y'all.
All right, fellas.